Good morning to you, 855 subscribers. Thank you for dialing in. Okay, we are today, day 12. Day 12 of the pool build. Two labourers and lads are here. I've had a word with the supervisor stroke owner. Hopefully they're going to be here in the next hour. We've got to hold off a little bit on certain things because we're going to land up undoing some of the great work. This has dried, even though it was absolutely rained on yesterday. So fingers crossed, we've got this sheet off now, so with a bit of sun on it, hopefully it will draw and dry. The only thing they forgot to do was cut in the crack. We have a movement crack from about here all the way across to this side, and also over here the same thing again. And they put this product down on top of it. So I'll show you what I mean, but we're going to have to try and guess whereabouts that crack is, because we've got to try and cut through it in order to fill it. Now obviously everyone will say, yeah, this is a waterproof product, but it doesn't make any difference. The crack is big, we have to go right through it, get it filled with a waterproof. They normally would use, well, I would normally use the render rock with waterproof, but apparently they do a Zypex like cement, so I think they might actually use that. So as you can see, it's trying to follow the crack, which is all over the place. So as you can see here, sorry about the noise by the way, so we have a movement crack that goes from here all the way along, and that comes out this side, look, and it is underneath here somewhere, so we should have probably done that one before. This one obviously comes from here all the way along to here, and again they've covered that corner, so I'm not too sure where that is. It did go from around here somewhere. As you can see, it's over there, look. There's where the join is. So it would have been here somewhere. In fact, there it is there, look. So you can just about see it there. So we've got to try and find that one and cut that one out as well. So the reason why we're doing that is just to make sure that we pre-fill with waterproof before this stuff goes down, to ensure that any moisture doesn't get through. So he's doing that one, which is great. And we've obviously got to do that one there as well. So we've got one just there. On the camera it's here. In real life it's over there. Yeah, we've got to do that bit there, and also across the patio as well. These guys aren't employed to do this bit, but it'd be good if we could do that at the same time. It makes sense to try and cut that out, but obviously what I don't want is what he's doing over there. So all I want is just a nice square line all the way through, and then you can fill it quite easily. This one is above the irrigation tank, so obviously any leaking goes straight into the water, which isn't a problem, but obviously in this concrete there's steel, so any water leaking through at the moment is finding that steel, and that steel will rot. When that steel rots, you get a blown concrete, which means we have to redo the whole under and above, which will be an absolute nightmare. So it's really important to get it right. They've chased out these this morning as well, just obviously hilted all the way along, so they need to be hosed off, get those drying, and then off the back of that, then we can start getting the actual ball bond down properly in the dry. So hopefully the weather will hold off. We'll get the ball bond on today. They need to get into that trough and get that trough dug out. And as you can see, the ball bond didn't adhere to this last night because they put it on wet. So as you can see, it's tilted that a little bit more here. That needs to be again hosed out, dried out, and that needs to be done all the way along here as well. So we need to get all of the grit off, and once the grit's off, then they can actually apply the ball bond. And that has got to be ideally left for 24 hours before that goes on. So if you follow the user manual obviously is there for a reason. They want to make sure that you're covered under warranty, and you're not going to be under warranty, and the product won't work even if it was, if you don't do it right. So we'll get the guys to hose this off in a minute. We'll obviously hose that off before he does what he's got to do. Again, that has got to be hosed out, dried, decontaminated, and then you can put the product in. And we're going to have to do something in here as well, so probably better off putting that Zypex on here as well before we put the ball bond on. So other than that, that's pretty much where we are at the moment. Hopefully the owner will meet me here today, and we can build a bit of a plan to ensure that we are doing things correctly, so that long term we don't have any blown concrete or any leaks or dampnesses coming through. I'll check in with you as and when he comes. Hopefully he'll be here by about 9:30, fingers crossed. 9:45. Weather is not looking that good, unfortunately, so fingers crossed it's going to hold off. If it stays like this all day, it'll be okay. But the trouble is, yesterday was like this, and it just rained and stopped and rained and stopped. But anyway, we're putting the actual next side down. I've managed to get them to cut here and put in the Zypex as well as over here as well. Again, really the Zypex should be in there drying and going off before you go pouring stuff on top, but count to 10. Anyway, they do it for a living, so surely I must be wrong. So hopefully, fingers crossed. The rain will hold off and it won't get rained off. This one's dried nicely, but again, we just put the tarp on it last night. So anyway, we've got the crack that's going through here as well. Ideally, we should just cut that out and get that done as well. They're saying they don't need to because this is waterproof, and I get that, but it goes through 13 inches of concrete, so I'd much rather try and get some form of waterproof in there if possible. But I was under the impression we were going to be waterproofing it and then putting waterproof cement in it and then putting this on top. But at the moment, that red Zypex is like a diluted waterproof powder that they've obviously painted in, and then obviously that goes off and then this stuff goes on top. We've also got to get a product to fill the gap between the pipe and the concrete as well, so that's got to be filled all the way around. So I'm not too sure how we're going to do that, bear in mind the angle that it's at. So I was thinking last night, is there some form of sort of L channel can go on there that sits underneath the mortar and that, but obviously then you're going to create a weakness. But again, they do it for a living, it's their job, but at the same time, I'm the one that's going to be left with it if it doesn't go according to plan. Also, that's gone down very thick as well. I thought they would put that down in maybe 2 levels, let it draw, smooth it off, and then put another one on top. But they've gone straight in for the thickness, which I'm not too sure is right. But anyway, that's one of the problems when you understand how to build or how to do a process. Certainly, it's your house and your money. You stand here, obviously analysing whether what they're doing is what you would do. In my head, it has to be perfect practice. So, if the product says clean, bleach, scrub, dry, decontaminate, apply, leave 24 hours. That's exactly what I do. There's no, the rain's coming or we don't have the time. It's like I follow everything that needs to be done because that's how it should be done. And in fact, even when I read the instructions, I try and do something different to make sure that what they're asking for is actually further improved. Any mortar, as we know, that gets laid too thick lands up causing cracking. So they shouldn't be doing that. They should literally be putting down, I think it's around about 2 inches. So they should be putting down 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and ideally the finishing product really. But anyway, what can you do? You can only sit here and watch and hope that things don't go wrong. And I don't want to fall out the contractor because they're good lads, but as I said yesterday, the supervision and management aren't really around. They're leaving it to these guys, and these guys on the price want to get in and out and gone. So that is not my pool and my home's best interest. So looks like I'm going to just be around and just try and pull back and question when I can. Without pissing them off, because it will piss them off, and I don't want to do that. I'm not here to work against them, I'm here to try and work with them to make sure we get a good job. Anyway, hopefully the rain will stay off and we can continue and there won't be no dry patches, etc. But anyway, I'll check in with it later on. Give me a thumbs up in the meantime. And if there's anything I can show you in particular, let me know in the comments and I'll show you a bit more detail. Okay, rain is holding off. Just 11:10. More grinding taking place. The conduit that's gone into the floor unfortunately isn't deep enough. It's meant to be 17 mil and it's 15 mil, so the guys are now realising they've got to go down a bit further, so they're now just cutting that track a little bit higher. But unfortunately it now means they're having to hammer manually the little bit out, which is obviously going to be a bit time consuming. So anyway, it's got to be done. That's drawing over there. It does mean obviously that they're putting the bits all over the top, so hopefully it's drawn enough to be able to just brush that off. Showman's working on the windows. Showman's here. Yeah, so hopefully the rain is going to be like this all day. It will hold off, maybe a little bit of spit every now and then, but spit's okay. So as long as it does that, we should be okay. So I'll check in a bit later on. Looks like there's now anything at the moment. But anyway, shows that things are happening. Okay, we're 1:10 Have a quick update. Side has been plastered in. Our little gaping hole has been had a little bit of backfilling. The guys are at lunch. We do need to should have got that hosed off first before that went on there, but anyway, there's a ball bond's been put on this side. It should really be bright yellow, I'm not too sure why it's not. But anyway, that's been ball bonded, that's ready to have tiles put on. This obviously is drying as we speak. It should really be levelled before it goes off. Over here's had the channel widened as they're doing here. The channel itself was only 15 mil, so they've actually gone a bit deeper. So the channel can sit low, which is great. So they've cut that out, put that in. So yeah, we're pretty much on target at this present time to proceed to the next stage, which I assume is going to be, we've got to get the trough sorted out, but obviously it's going to be the tiles, ceramic mosaic tiles, I would have thought. So the mosaic tiles are going to be going all the way down this wall here, all the way along here, all of these steps and up to the wall, and then 6 rows all the way around the outer rim. So I assume that's what they're going to do first, and it'll be plaster. So they'll be finishing this off, taking this all the way along just to get that balanced off. That said, there's not a great deal of height needed to go on here, so they might just put some on to finish off, but I would say they'll probably leave that. That would be tile adhesive. As you can see, that is pretty much where they need to be, so this is going to be okay just to have tile adhesive underneath, but they will have to do something with this back edge maybe. Pipe here with the concrete blasted in has obviously come up in the air, so it's quite proud, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. Certainly a lot more proud there than it is down here. It's pretty much hidden here, but it does rise there, so hopefully it shouldn't get in the way of the tile, should be okay. But it is going to create a bit of a weakness behind there because there's not a great deal of space to get the tile adhesive on the tile, so we'll have to make sure that has definitely got lots of Weldcrete and all sorts in there to make sure we don't have any issues. But other than that, we're pretty much where we need to be. Sun is out at the moment with minimal clouds, thank bloody God, so we are getting some drying time going on, which is good. Yesterday, obviously, as you saw, was hit and miss with the rain, which caused us nothing but problems. So, yeah, we are pretty much okay where we are at this present time. Sherman has actually sanded down the windows and has put in the first coat of paint, or second coat of paint on there, which is good. So by the end of today, we'll get that dried off and get those hosed off and remove all the outsides, and that'll be good. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we are. I'll update you a little bit later on. So it's only 1:15 now. The guys will be back from lunch soon, and we'll crack on with getting this finished off. Okay, we're at 20 minutes past 2. But the next day starting on the pool, and as much as we also have the pump pool installers on site in the blue tops. So obviously we're working our way around with the actual tile, what do we call it? Tile prep. It's a tile mortar that goes underneath, obviously. We're pretty much around there now, so we're just joining up the other corner over there. So that's looking a lot smoother and a lot more level. And the trunking, the white trunking, as you can see there, that is now gone down by 2 mil because it's actually 17 mil in depth, and we actually did a 15 mil, so we've had to cut that out and reset that back in. So yeah, the guys are actually now inside the pump room. It looks like they're going to be cutting back the pipes and connecting in their valves, so they'll have on-off valves, big on-off valves, which I'll show you in a second. They're pumping out the trough. So the trough itself obviously is where they're going to be putting one of their little hoppers, but again, before they do that, they need to be scraping out the floor of the trough. Keep on talking about it, they're not doing it, so the last thing I want is to have some new equipment put in and then have them start drilling and cracking on with actually clearing that out. So anyway, I'll have to have a chat about that in a second, otherwise that's going to be the next problem coming. But let me take you over and I'll show you the valves that they're actually taking down to install. So as you can see here, that was the big hole we had. So they put a bit in there, let that draw, and then they've gone over the top of it and they're going to take that around and join to here. And then over here we've actually got the valves that they're taking down. As you can see those there, that big industrial ones. So they're going to be connected up to all the pipes that are coming through. I think we've only got 3 pipes down there actually. 1, 2, 3, I think there's 3 coming in. But I'm sure they'll actually connect up their own as well, and elbow and do what they've got to do. So they're drawing out the actual water out there, as they've done down here as well. So nearly all out. So we're going to land up draining that out both at the front and the back. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we are so far. So it's getting a little bit darker and a little bit overcast. We've had a couple of little spits, but we've been all right so far. So that's now nearly dried. And this one here is obviously drawing as we speak. So line's been pulled just in the corner there, look. That's just so we can actually get the tile mortar level. So that obviously all we're doing is using a minimal amount of tile adhesive to go on top of this. We might need quite a bit on the front here because obviously that's going to have to be lit upwards. So there'll be more tile adhesive on the front, but again they put some ball bond down as well. It's not very yellow over there, so it doesn't look like there's a great deal on over there. again, I'd have made sure that is definitely thick and dry before I put anything down on it. I suppose when people do these sort of things all day, every day, they get a little bit used to obviously the conditions and the return that comes from not doing it right, and they just take the risk element with that. I don't take any risks personally. But anyway, the red one here has been done. That's been done as well, so it's actually got the Zypex in there, most of it anyway. We've actually got a leak downstairs in the basement. We've actually got two actually. There's one at an angle, which is that one over there. There's another one straight, and there's another one here as well. So we've actually got 3 leaks down there. Just been down there to have a quick look. So hopefully, number one, putting the water treatment on there will help anyway, but also, more importantly, having this product down and the tile adhesive down will also stop the water going through. We've definitely got to make sure we've got the sealant in between the pipe and the concrete here and here done, because obviously that is where water has been leaking through as well. So it's definitely up against the wall, leaking in that corner, as it is over here in this corner. So these are the 2 main weaknesses where it's really coming through downstairs. I think it's also coming through the one over here as well. There's one, I think it's here. But anyway, I'm sure this will stop it, most of it anyway, so fingers crossed we can stop it completely. So it'd be interesting to see what the guys down there are doing now. Obviously there's 3 pipes coming in. There's one which is there's 2 returns here, which will be going into the room. There's a pipe on the wall here that you can just see, that's going into the room, and there's the trough return that's going into the room. So there's 3 mains coming into the room itself. There's 4 or 5 valves over there, so I'm assuming 3 of them are going to be for the ones coming in from the pool, and I'm sure then they'll probably elbow 2 of them into the pump, and it'll be one before that as well, would have thought. So anyway, I'll also take you downstairs in a second, and I will show you the pump equipment they've actually got that's actually going to be going in. So there's another thing I've actually asked them to do as well. I'm looking for some form of wireless capacity, also some form of panel in the house where I can actually control the heat pump and the lights from inside the house without having to go over to there. So over in the corner on the overhang just there's a box. That's where all the actual LED lights, as far as we're essentially being driven to. And that's where also I'll be taking the LED lights to as well. So I might actually get them to cut the floor in a minute, just so we can actually get that return done, and then I can just fill over it. So I want to physically take the electrics to that box for the LED lights. So at the moment they're here, obviously they're going down here. I want to literally just go straight across here and then up into the wall, house all the electrics and the wireless units, so we can control the LED lights from the patio and the house. So that's where we are so far. I'll quickly go down a second and show you the pump equipment, and then they'll start loading that in at some point. Let me show you. Okay, so we've actually got, most of it is pent air. So we have a heat pump, swimming pool heat pump. Why would you need a heat pump in Barbados? Trust me, in November, December and a bit of January, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, it is bloody freezing the water here. So it's there just to ensure that we can use it all year round. Obviously at some stage we're going to try and have solar in the house itself to ensure that at any point we can run it whenever we wish without having to worry about the electric, as everyone is worried about that at the moment. Obviously then we've got this element here. This is clearly the pump and everything for it. So you've got the heating element, the mains pump, and also the filtration. All these parts down here are part of it as well. This bit down here as well. Because this is going to be a salt pool, by the way, guys. I don't know if you know that. I don't know where the LED lights are. There's a box of bits down there, sorry. There's also another 5 lights. And this is all the actual salt. So, big splash, pool salt. So there's loads of pool salt. And this is what I was telling you about earlier, about the leaks coming through. So you can see in this corner here, there's a leak coming down to here, look, which has been there for quite a while, obviously. Then you've got another one here, so you can see where the waterproof is trying to stop it from coming through. And obviously that lands here. So they're the ones that at the moment I was quite keen to make sure we drilled through and sealed, just to make sure that they don't continue, obviously. You don't want to be continuing. But that's pretty much it, just those 2. Oh, and there's another one over here. So I think this is the straight one. This is one that I showed you just a minute ago that's straight, that lands here. This is the diagonal one, which is in the corner. And then we've got one which is here going straight through, which I think is just set back a little bit, which I need to figure out where that is. So there's 3 we've got to get stopped. So So anyway, so that's the pool product. I can't see where the lights are. They're probably boxed somewhere else. Yeah, can't see them, probably taking them up. So that's the pool products. Okay, 4:45. Finished off with the hose off. Everyone's gone, obviously. Trying to get everything cleaned up. Because damn, this is dusty work. Nice, it's all of us getting traipsed into the house and everywhere. So appreciate the guys that aren't interested in obviously cleaning up every day, but just try and keep on top of it. Just keeps everything looking a little bit more organised. On top of that, obviously anything that's not meant to be in a hole that's going to get plastered over, if we can remove, then that's obviously better. So let me quickly show you what's obviously this side has had the trunking cut in where it needs to be. This is going to be an LED trunking along here, like I've told you about. So that is just a template that will come out once the tiles are actually done. They'll probably want to tile right up against that. I may allow that to happen, just so that when the trunking turns up, I can just pop it in. But in an ideal world, I put the new trunking in and tile to it, so I've got a very minimal gap. I've just hosed all of this off. This is dried now, and I've also tried to, as you can see, every single little hole, you can see like stuff inside it. So I've tried to actually hose out every single part, because this is about trying to make sure that the tile adhesive adheres, so it feels tacky. That so it means that this isn't drying as well as it should do. All of these red marks are obviously where they put the Zypex into the hole. So obviously that one was ground down and applied. That was applied on underneath. We still need to obviously fix the crack on the actual surface itself on the patio. So I may actually do that myself now I've seen what needs to be done and how it can be done. Obviously this gap has got to be filled, but that'll be done with tile adhesive. Underneath here has all been done as well, hence the reason why this has got a mat over the top of it. It's still drying. This has had some form of ball bond put on, but it's clearly not what we normally put on. It seems to have like a black grit, and it's clearly not drying, whatever it is. So it's been on there for a good few hours now, so I'm not too sure why it's not drying. It went onto warm concrete, and it's been on warm concrete, but it seems to have like a black grit all over it, so I'm not too sure what they've added to it. But we'll assess tomorrow as to whether that is gone off or not, because it doesn't seem to be that good. We also had a crack here, if you remember rightly, we had a bit fixed in here, so that needs to be sorted. The trough is taking water, so at least it's working, but again that's got to be drained out and it's got to be cleaned out. All the patio's been hosed off, as you can see. They've done the whole thing. So yeah, at this present time today really was about recutting in obviously the back piece for the conduit, making sure that the actual mortar was applied to the back all the way around. This was done yesterday obviously, but that's been done and that's been done. They can go down holes on here so that it can the tile adhesive can grip, because this is actually a polished concrete here, very similar to here. As I said, I would have done probably disc grinding marks that way and then gone opposites like X's all the way along. That's probably what I would have done, but still same sort of thing. But again, this needs to be bone dry and a proper ball bond applied. It just doesn't seem to be drying for some unknown reason, which means obviously they might have added water to it, which is what sometimes they do. Here, as you can see, it's not even covered here. You can still see concrete all the way along. So I'm not too sure what's gone wrong here. So again, we need to apply on that. Really, for me, it's just making sure that obviously everything is decontaminated. There's no dust, there's no dirt, there's no greases of any sort. The ball bond is actually like a tough, hard rubber, which means it's dried and it's cured properly. That clearly isn't, as you saw. 2 hours later, I can still rub it off. And we've got to get the trough done. So if we don't get that trough floor taken up, then whatever we put in there is not going to adhere properly, and it's just going to break away and it's going to give in. So yeah, I just need to make sure tomorrow that the guys carry on doing things as it should be done. But that's it pretty much where day 12 is concerned. We're definitely not going to be done for Friday. That was the 3-week mark. So I don't know how long it's going to take extra to do it. To hazard a guess, I'd say we're probably looking at mid-stroke-end of next week. That's my gut feel. And whoever's going to do the tiling, they better be bloody good, because I'm anal as hell on tiling, so it better be good. Better be good. I normally use a lad called Daniel on the island that was recommended by a friend. His guys are really good, so I'm not saying these guys aren't. They may do a great job. But when you know a tiler, in England, tiling is quite a unique skill, in as much as no one in England can tile very well. We have Germans and French. In Germany and in France, you have to do an apprenticeship to be a tiler. In England, you can just pick up anything you want and crack on. So every time that I've used an English, bar one, there's one guy called Terry, very, 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 very good. But I've only ever had good experiences with mainly French. Over here, I'm really not too sure what it's like. But a friend of mine connected with Dan. He said, I know you already know how you want things done, and this guy's really, really good. Give him a call. So I gave him a call. And he came up, the way he portrayed himself throughout the whole process it was clear that he cared about what he did. I mean, he's the one that did the first 2 bathrooms in here, so both guys did a pretty good job. Saying that, we've had an issue with the tiles they put on. They didn't provide the tiles, they were from Island Tiles. I've got to talk to them about that. We've got some dark patches coming through the white tiles for some unknown reason. So we might have to get them out again to take off and relay. But other than that, hopefully these guys will do a good job on here. Obviously, we're going to have 2.5 tiles, one here, and a little off-cut towards here. They're going to have to be dead straight with those tiles. One, they're bloody expensive, and 2, they're going to have really clean cuts, otherwise they're just going to show. I'm not too sure who they have that does their tiling, but I shall make sure that their tiling is A1. Eastbourne Avenue. So from my point of view, I'll talk to them about that in the next couple of days. We're not actually anywhere near that need at this present time, unfortunately. But it will come very shortly, that's for sure. I would say we're going to be looking to do that at some stage next week. I don't know what the process is. I would assume, never assume, but I'd assume it's the mosaics on the sun shelf steps around the pool, and then it's going to be the apply of pool product. Then it'll be the tiles on the top afterwards, I assume. But we're not far off needing to start putting those tiles on. So, fingers crossed that will start happening in the next day or 2. Can't wait. Anyway, I'm going to check out for now. If you like what I've said, give me a like down below. Other than that, I will check in with you at some stage tomorrow for what an effect would be day 13. Take care. Thanks for watching.